Hi everyone, welcome to the Coding Channel. Today is the 41st episode of our Java programming tutorial series. And in this episode, we are going to talk about how to create a login GUI with a highlight of using JPasswordField and Null Layout in Java. These and more when we come back. Here's a sample run of our source code for today. Basically, we will going to create a login GUI with a functionality. Then we have here GUI components like labels, label with the icon, and the text field, and the JPassword field. So for instance, I'm going to enter staff, which is an invalid username. Then if I'm going to enter, for example, here, an invalid password. So once I press the enter key, okay, so there's a message here, invalid username and password. So for example, I'm gonna enter a valid username, which is manager, and then invalid password. So the message is invalid password. So if I'm gonna enter invalid username and then a valid password, for example, once I press the enter key, so invalid username. But if the we have enter the correct username and then, for example, correct password, okay, once we press the enter key, so the previous login GUI will disappear, okay, and then the new GUI, for instance, this one is the new main menu, for example, will automatically appear. Okay, so once the access is being granted. So that's the highlight of our episode for today. So if you're interested about this, let's start. Okay, so now I have here the class with a JFrame. So again, basically the first step is to put inside the main method the method call for our constructor method, which is in this case we have null layout because that's the name of our class. And then inside of my constructor method are methods of a JFrame. So that's the main reason why I always extend a JFrame to make it a superclass so that we can use directly the methods of a JFrame just to have a title in our for example frame. So once we run that, okay, we can just see this frame. Okay, it's a blank frame having the login text there, and then we change already the icon by using the set icon image, new image icon. And then, for example, the file name is lac2.png that get image. So that's the syntax of doing that. And then, as you can see, when we execute the program, so the frame normally appears here. It's because I modify the default location, which is normally it appears over here by using the set location 1000 and 100. So that's the meaning when I put a 1000 there, so it's the space, so x, so space from the left margin going here, so that's 1000, and then the 100 is a space from top margin to here. Okay, so that's why the frame appears in this location. What else? And also we have the set size, of course, and then set visible with a set resizable false. So we cannot modify anymore the size. Okay, because the maximize button is disabled. So that is possible by using the set resizable false. Okay, so after that, the next thing to do is, of course, to instantiate an object of our GUI component. So for example, we have an icon there. So that is possible by using the JLabel. For example, the object name is logo label is equal to new JLabel, and then the argument is the new image icon and then the file name. Okay, so that's how we declare and instantiate an object of a JLabel with icons. And aside from that, we also have another label. So we have a username, we have a password and the error label, okay, where you see the response once we enter either valid or invalid username and password. Okay, so and then aside from that, we also have the JText field that we already discussed this in our previous episode. Yeah, let's say we have a username, and the new one is the JPassword field. So that is possible by using JPassword field, and then for example, password field is equal to new JPassword field. So these are again methods, I mean class within Java's.swing package. Okay, so don't forget to import that one. Okay, now after we have instantiate an object of this GUI component. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a total of 6 GUI components. Okay, so the next thing is to set the layout manager. In our previous episode, I've already discussed with you the use of flow layout, the grid layout, the border layout, or the combination of those built-in layout managers by using also the with the help of JPanel. But this time, I'm going to present to you the actually, if you don't want to use those built-in layout managers, so the best possible way, okay, to do that is to set the layout manager null, meaning the value of our set layout method is null. Okay, so what does it mean? Meaning to say we are the one who will arrange the GUI components. Okay, so that's the meaning of this. We will not use the built-in layout manager. Okay, so that's the first step. You put the null as argument or parameter of our set layout method, and then after that we will add all the components. Okay, the sequence here or the order, the way we add in frame is not important because we are the one who will arrange the GUI components. So what's important is you add all the components. Okay, so we have the logo label, the user name label, for example, the error label, and then the username, and then the password. Okay, now if we're going now to arrange the GUI components, so this next step is very important. Okay, and what is this new topic? Okay, so for example, we're going to arrange the logo label. Okay, so that is possible once you set the layout manager null. Okay, you are going to use the setBounds method. Now the setBounds is a method having 4 arguments. So x, y, the width, and then the height. So meaning when we specify 150, so from left margin, okay, because this one is x, right, going from left to right, so that's x. So 150 meaning to say from here is 0, so most probably the 150 is over here, something like that. And then 10 is the from top, so the space from top. So let's say 10, so most probably from here 10, so something like that. So it's okay. So inside of our frame, for example, we have a frame here. As you can see, there is the logo there. Okay, so that's x and y, and then the width of the icon, okay, or the GUI component, and then the height. So that's 200. And then we have a username label. So we are going also to use the setBound. So again, the order of this one is not important because what's important here are the coordinates, okay? Or yes, the values of x and y that you specify here. That's the one important. Okay, so username label that setBounds, for example, 20, 200, 250. Okay, let me try to run first. So I need to close this one because this one is a blank frame. So I just wanna show you, okay, after we have, for example, we have now the 150 and 10, 200, 200. So this is now the logo label. And then having the username label at setBounds with 20, the space. So this one's the space from the left margin, and then 200 meaning the space from top. So that's why we have 20, 200 here. And then again, the width of this, and then the height is 30. Okay, something like that. So let's continue. We'll try to add the password label. So since the password label is right after the username, so still the space is both at 20. And then for instance, since we have the height of 30, so the space from top is 250. So 250, okay, and then the width and then the height also. So same with the error label, you specify here, okay, and then the username and then the password field, okay. So if we're going to run this one, okay, so far this is now the result, okay, of this values here. Okay, so now if you want to increase the font, okay, you change the font style or the size of the font, okay, so that is possible by using the set font. Okay, so for example, you want to modify the username label with a Tahoma font, and then the font size is font that bold, and then the size is 20, so that's the syntax. With the password label also, error label, the username field, and then the password field. Okay, so same format. Okay, so let's try to close again, or let's try to run another. Okay, this is now the updated one. Okay, now if you want to change the font color of the error label, this one, okay, so that is possible by using error label that set foreground, and then for example color that red. So again, take note that these are classes within java.awt, the color, the font. Okay, so and then so that's it. Let's try to run. Okay, so once you, for example, the correct username is manager, and then the password, the correct password that I uh, put there is 12345. Okay, so that's the correct username and password. Once you press the enter key, nothing happens. It's because we did not activate the code to register this password field for event handling. Okay, so we need to register. Okay, and the object name of this is password field, all right? Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is what? To implement the action listener. Implements action listener interface. Okay, listener. Okay, so listener. Okay, so take note that action listener is an interface within java.awt.event. Okay, after you implement this one, okay, you need to register the specific GUI component in this episode. I'm referring to password field that add action listener because we want that when we press the enter key, okay, in after typing the password, okay, so that's the time that um, the program control will go directly to the method of the action listener, which we're going to override. Okay, so when I say override, we're going to reuse the built-in method. We need to put the implementation. Okay, and that's method of action listener is actually the action perform. So I have here now the action perform method. Okay, so let me just open this one and explain to you one by one. Okay, now inside of the action perform, so when we override the method, take note that, okay, it's always public void action performed action event e. Okay, action event is a class within java.awt. Okay, so you need to import also that one. The only thing that you can change is the e. Okay, so it's an object name. So any object name that you want, okay, you can change that one. But other than that, you're gonna change other things here because you are overriding that method. Okay, so take note, that's the reason why we implement action listener. Okay, now inside of this action perform, since we only have one GUI component that we register for event handling, so we don't need to use an if here, okay, to know the source of that event. Okay, so we can just put directly the method here or the any syntax here, okay, that is needed to perform the task. So what's the task now? Once we press the enter key, we need to determine if the username and password is valid or not, right? So the first thing to do is what? Before we compare, we need to get first the input of the user. So for example, the username field. So we have username field dot get text. So get text is a built-in method used to get the user input from the text field. Okay, so that's why we use this type of syntax, and then we will assign whatever text that we get, okay, from the username field to the string username variable. It's because by default, when we enter any text there in JTextField, by default that is a string type. Okay. Now another thing is the if we want to get the value from the password field before, actually we can also use get text. If you want to get any text from the password field, but now that one is deprecated. I want to show you the example. So for instance, we have I just wanna use this one, the password field. So password field dot get text. Actually, we can still use this one, but I want you to observe what will happen after I type this. Okay, there's a strike there. Okay, that meaning this one is a deprecated one, meaning in the new version of Java, this one is not being used anymore. But if you still insist to use this, your program will still run, but since this one is deprecated, so I did not use this one. Okay, but instead, what I did, okay, I just used the new method specifically for the password field. So the method name that I'm referring to is the get password. So instead of get text, get password. If you're getting the text or characters from the password field, okay, so the get password is the more appropriate. Okay, so specify the password field. This is the object name of our JPassword field that get password, and then since we are, so this one is by default is character, and we need to get that character. Okay, you just need an extra again method, okay, to just convert that before we can assign to a string variable. Okay, you just need to use the string that a value of method. Okay, as simple as that. So after we get now the user input coming from the text field and then coming from the JPassword field, okay, the inputs now are inside of the username and a password, which are string variables. Okay, so our next step is to compare. Okay, now how are we going to compare this string? Okay, and here we can use either equals method or equals ignore case. Okay, so for example, if you are using equals, it's a case sensitive. So once you specify here manager all in lowercase, so make sure that you type manager in lowercase. Because if, for example, if the user have typed a capital M there, okay, and then the rest is small letter, so this one is not accepted because you use equals, unless we use the equals ignore case. So this one is another method of string. Okay, so again, I just put the equals back there. Okay, and then a manager. So the valid username and password is manager and 12345. So what I did here is that I used the if statement. If username is the variable that equals manager, okay, if it's true, so that's the only time. Okay, I have here a another if statement. Okay, so it's like a nested if. So if this is one is true, okay, there's another if password that equals 12345. So I just want to make sure if the username and password are both correct or valid, okay, that's the only time that I'm going to call another file, another frame, or another class. Okay, in this case, I'm referring to my grid layout 2 that I already have created. Okay, for example, I have here another class. Okay, so it's like you're just calling another frame. Okay, but before okay, after you call, okay, you need to dispose or close, okay, or either hide now the existing frame, which is the Login GUI. So what I did here, I just used the dispose method. Okay, so that's the technique. Or if you just want to hide it, you can actually use set visible false. Okay, so once you specify here set visible false, you are referring to this frame, which is the login frame. Okay, so either you hide or you totally dispose the frame. Okay, so that's what I did there. Okay, so else meaning if the username is correct but the password is not correct, so it will generate a label there or text there that's invalid password. The username is correct but invalid password. Okay, or if the username is not valid, so there's another else if here, if password that equals 1234. So it's possible that the username is incorrect but the password is correct. So the only error message that you need to generate or to display is the invalid username only. Okay, because the password is correct. Otherwise, if both the username and password are invalid or incorrect, so that's the only time that we uh, execute the else statement, having the invalid username and password text or label. Okay, so that's it. That's how simple it is to use or create a login GUI. Okay, so if you have questions regarding this one, okay, don't hesitate to drop your comments in the comment section, and I'm very much willing to answer all your questions. So that's all. So these are the source code for this episode. And that's all for today. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And as always, show your love through comments and favorites. God bless and thank you for watching.